welcome to SVGTV's news for Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. A warning to Vincentian consumers to brace for steep increases in the price of food and other commodities is being echoed by operators in the distribution sector. Just last week, Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves and head of the Consumer Affairs, Junior Bacchus, both said increases on fuel, oil, grain and fertilizers were expected in light of the war between Russia and Ukraine and subsequent sanctions against Russia. Now, General Manager of AC Trading SVG Harry Gibson told SVG-TV News that for some time the price of imported goods was steadily increasing, primarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Gibson said the last few weeks it is costing businesses 5 times more to bring goods into the island, adding this has already resulted in a 20% increase in prices of household items and food.
The recent trends starting from COVID have been a continuous rise in freight charges coming from all over the world, coming from China, from Turkey, not as much from the U.S., but more so from Asian markets, and yes, and from Turkey, but a significant increase, 3, 4, 5 times increase of the freight charges coming into St. Vincent, which has not subsided in recent months at all. We bring out of China and so on. We bring detergents and primarily detergents, washing detergents and so on that have really been hit hard, and that's the primary one for us from China. Out of Turkey, we have different food items and so on, which we have had to stop because of the cost of freight, and that would take the price really out of the reach of the St. Vincent consumer.
Gibson said importers have been trying to ease consumers, but a further absorption of prices seems unlikely. He gave a grim outlook for the future, saying only a miracle would result in a decrease in prices.
Well, we have been looking at our markups and trying to keep them as razor thin as possible, but then we also have our expenses that need to be addressed, and there's only so much you can cut, and then the deeper you cut, you might reach blood, and I have to make sure that we don't do that in running our business. So, it will come a time when the full brunt of the increase has to be passed on to the consumer, which is unfortunate. If I were to say to you that I expect prices to go back to normal, that it would take a miracle for that to happen from what I'm seeing. I do anticipate that this trend will continue. For how long, I don't know. It all depends on what's going on in the world right now, and I mean in Ukraine, Russia, all of that is having a very serious impact on the world food supply.
Government's hope of seeing a continued improvement in economic performance from January into February has not materialized. In fact, current revenue for February 2022 when compared to February 2021 is estimated to be $10 million less, according to figures provided by Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves while speaking on his weekly appearance on NBC Radio this morning. For January 2022, government collected just over $47 million in revenue, and for January 2021, $38 million. PM Gonsalves said the review of central government performance up to February 28th is a cause for concern.
Well, this month, the February just gone, we didn't do as well as 2021, not 2020. In fact, in relation to 2021, February, and in February, remember we were rescued by 1 or 2 these sales out of, well, certainly at least by one significant sale of property out of Mustique now.
Yes.
On which we got the alien land holding license and the transfer tax. We are about $10 million down between current revenue for last year and this year.
PM Gonzalez said he hoped that the decline in performance is a one-off situation and not a trend.
I don't know if there's some reportage issues. You know, when we interrogate the numbers now, whether there's proper report on all the items. But I will usually do an interrogation of the numbers with the people in the Ministry of Finance. But surely the numbers are down February to February. And as I had said January last year, when January didn't look good, that if it continues like that, we're going to have problems. I am hoping that this February is a similar kind of a blip now, a blip down, rather than a trend.
Okay.
On the order paper to be discussed when Parliament convenes next Thursday is the Teachers' Pension Amendments Bill. On Radio Today, Prime Minister Dr. Gonzalez explained that the government is seeking to amend the legislation to allow teachers who entered into early retirement to receive pension and gratuity. He said a number of teachers who refused to comply with the vaccination mandate established in the Public Health Act last year and chose instead to enter into early retirement. He further explained those teachers who are grade 5 and above, including principals, were still eligible for pension, but those grade 4 and below are being affected by the loophole in the legislation.
But there's this peculiar situation in the Teachers' Pension Act, that if you were grade 3 or 4, you can't take early retirement. No, it's not fair, just because of the difference of the grade. And what would have happened is that some persons thought that they could have taken early retirement, didn't take the vaccine, make application for the early retirement,
Yes.
and then found themselves taking early retirement, but because they didn't act in concert with the law, they had a problem.
Prime Minister Gonzalez said the amendments to the legislation will create fairness in the teaching fraternity for anyone who wishes to enter into early retirement.
I think if we put a little more flexibility in the system like that, I don't have anything against people getting their pension in those circumstances, you know. I don't want the issue, or in any circumstance which is reasonable. The problem is that we have to protect the children, Johnny P.
Yes.
in relation to the in relation to the virus.
Meanwhile, President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, said he believes the amendment is an attempt by the government to save face.
But I am seeing this thing is coming because of the court action. It should not have waited until there's a matter in the court and people have been fired by the government to really use that as the scapegoat to say you're going to grant early retirement. So, I mean, it is welcoming, yes, that some people would be able to get benefits based on early retirement, because the only other thing under the Pension Act for teachers in which you could get early retirement is on medical grounds.
The unions and the governments went head-to-head in a legal battle in an attempt to contest the vaccination mandate. The High Court recently ruled that the Teachers Union, Public Service Union, and the People Welfare Association did not have the grounds to challenge the mandate. However, they can submit judicial review to contest the way in which the teachers and other public servants were dismissed. The Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation yesterday held a ceremony to officially launch the Schools Improvement Project. The $13.7 million projects implemented by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Caribbean Development Bank aims to achieve infrastructural improvement and institutional strengthening of selected schools across SVG. The project coordinator, Dimitri Samuel, said the project has an implementation period of 48 months and is also geared towards enhancing ICT classrooms and implementing school maintenance programs.
The school improvement project has an implementation period of 48 months. With this period, we plan to reconstruct the following schools: St. Vincent Girls High School, Beckwith Community High School, St. Vincent Grammar School, St. Clair Dakin Secondary School, Sandy Bay Secondary School, Thomas Saunders Secondary School, Barley Anglican Primary School, Barley Government School, and Kingston Anglican School.
Samuel said that he is looking forward for the completed work on the project, noting that on Tuesday a few contracts were signed and the work in the program has already started.
As of today, 3 contracts have been signed and work started. They are Barley Anglican Primary School, contract awarded to Barley and Barley Investments Limited. Barley Government School, contract awarded to Barley and Barley Investments Limited. And St. Vincent Grammar School, contract awarded to Gibson Construction and Barley and Barley Investment Limited. On March 18th, we plan to sign the contract for Girls High School and hopefully commence work on St. Clair Dakin and Beckwith Community High School in April 2022. The designs and procurement stage of this project is coming to an end. I'm looking forward towards the construction and the handing over of these facilities back to the principals in the near future.
Vice President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Isaac Solomon, said that the CDB recognizes the government's efforts to invest in human resource development, which is vital for economic growth and social advancement of the country.
This project is a continuation of the country's investment in education. It reflects the continued pursuit of developing your most important resource, your people, so that they have agency and the capacity to enjoy peace, stability, and prosperity on a sustained basis.
Noting that the CDB also understands the importance of education, Solomon said the type of education required to effectively function in a creative world must go beyond proficiency in traditional subjects.
For us at CDB, education is a critical enabler of development. For our BMCs, we envision education and training systems that provide opportunities for every individual to live productive and fulfilling lives and contribute to the social and economic development of their countries and the region. Aligned in CDB's education and training policy and strategy, we recognize that the type of education and training required to function effectively in a world fueled by innovation and craving creativity must go beyond proficiency in traditional subjects and encompass non-cognitive skills.
Solomon praised the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for continually making major investments in education.
It is indeed remarkable that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines continues to make significant investment in education, with annual expenditure approximating 6% of gross domestic product, which is among the highest in the region, and annual recurrent expenditure averaging 16% of the national budget. Over the years, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has mobilized significant funding from CDB in pursuit of those outcomes, including accessing $50.07 million to finance interventions in basic education, technical and vocational education, and training and learning continuity, and utilizing grant resources of $7.3 million to finance 47 sub-projects in education under the Basic Needs Trust Fund.
The Ministry of National Mobilization, Social Development, Gender, Family, Youth, Housing, and Informal Settlement, persons with disabilities, and other stakeholders are now more equipped to handle disasters. After a one-week training to boost capacity in obtaining data using the Rapid Pro application, Technical support was provided by a team from UNICEF to aid in the humanitarian response. The application was used to obtain the information from the internally displaced population, specifically after the eruptions of La Soufrière volcano in April of last year. Speaking at the official handing over on Friday, March 11, 2022, Minister of National Mobilization Orlando Brewster said through a collaborated effort among his ministry, NEMO, NGOs, and other entities, they were able to respond to the aftermath of the violent eruptions of La Soufrière volcano in April 2021 and outline a range of challenges the ministry faced during that period.
Now, this was not without its challenges, of course. Amongst those challenges was the availability of specific type of data that would have provided more efficient guidance in the type of responses that were provided from the ministry. I am happy to note that with the support of UNICEF, we were able to gather further data for use in the response strategies being deployed during our response.
Minister Brewster noted that in addition to the collection of data, other areas of service delivery in the Ministry of National Mobilization can be addressed in the event of disaster or an emergency through the use of Rapid Pro.
As I have been informed, this was done through the application known as Rapid Pro. I am further aware that this application has the capacity to not only collect data, but be able to assist in other areas of service delivery within the Ministry of National Mobilization. I am pleased that the team from UNICEF came, led by the Deputy Country Representative, Mr. Sullivan, who had to return earlier. And they chose to provide technical and hands-on support to my ministry and other stakeholders who would be able to deploy this application to help to mitigate the challenges we faced in the volcanic eruption. And not only the volcanic eruption, but we are an island that is prone to natural disasters. And Rapid Pro is not only an app that helps with volcanic eruption, let me make that clear. It would also support us in case there are other emergencies and other disasters here on island.
The government minister further expressed elation and thanks to UNICEF for the donation of Rapid Pro to the team and the continued support that the organization will provide.
We as a people and ministry and government must be proactive in our response strategy going forward. I am therefore elated that today UNICEF is handing over Rapid Pro to us, along with their pledge of continued development of the app and its deployment amongst the Vincentian population. So on behalf of the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, let me say thank you, a heartfelt thank you, for your continued support to the development of our landscape of this blessed island called Hairuna, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I wish you guys a safe trip back, and I pray that the good Lord would continue to bless us and keep us safe as we work hand in hand with UNICEF for further development.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Mobilization, Catherine De Freitas, also addressed the handing over ceremony and indicated that the UNICEF team examined the knowledge gaps and experiences of Rapid Pro by the key stakeholders. The PS also thanked participants from the Ministries of Education and Health, NEMO, and the staff of the Ministry of National Mobilization and UNICEF, and pledged the commitment of the continued use of Rapid Pro as long as it is technically possible.
Today culminates a one-week visit of the team from UNICEF, which came to our shores to continue the process of technical enhancement through capacity building for the government and its stakeholders. The team, whose main aim was to provide support to the Ministry of National Mobilization in their humanitarian response after the implementation of Rapid Pro, which was used to collect data and provide vital information from the internally displaced population in 2021. Specifically, the team examined the knowledge gaps and experiences of Rapid Pro by the key stakeholders. This handing over process is one that is built on continued support and investment by both the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and UNICEF as we continue to plan and be ready for eventualities of natural disasters and shocks that will affect the Vincentian public.
Head of the technical team of UNICEF, Patrice Bosso, identified the need to improve communications and interaction with beneficiaries, noting that a Rapid Pro can be an excellent solution to improve interaction with beneficiaries.
I say interaction with beneficiaries. I'm talking about all the beneficiaries from all the services in your minister. So we have now to switch from an application to a more broad solution based on Rapid Pro. And the deployment of this solution should include the establishment of a kind of task team, intersectoral task team, and including all the other ministries can benefit for this application and solution. UNICEF will be there to support technically and financially and make sure that we can hand over not only the application but all the solution to your minister and to your country.
Keynote speaker at the opening of the 9th International Garifuna Conference held virtually over the weekend, Darius Avila, said that the Garifuna people had not, if the Garifuna people had not been resilient, their ancestors would not have survived the First Carib War in 1972 and in 1772 and 1773. Avila, who is a Garifuna entrepreneur from Belize, was speaking on the topic, creating sustainability, building resilience, nurturing our Garifuna culture and heritage.
Likewise, after the death of our beloved paramount chief, Joseph Chatoyer, on March 14, 1795, we would not have been able to endure and survive another 15 months of fighting under the capable leadership of Chief Chatoyer's brother Duvalier. And clearly, we would not have been able to survive the onslaught that was being brought to bear on the women, children, and men subsequent to our surrender that brought the so-called Second Carib War to an end in June of 1796. Worse, had our people not been resilient, we would not have survived the hideous treatment on Balisao for 9 agonizing months and exiled to Rotan, Honduras, a place many miles from our native homeland.
The conference was held under the theme Building Resilience, Creating Culture, Capital for Sustainability of the Garifuna Heritage. The conference was a joint effort by the Garifuna Heritage Foundation and the UE Open Campus of SVG. Monday, March 14, 2022 was not only observed here in SVG as a National Heroes Day, but also internationally a day of action for rivers. To mark the occasion, the newly formed group Energize Earth SVG initiated a cleanup exercise of the Glossy River in Ashburton. As we hear in this report, the older residents are excited to have the river return to what they knew it could be 2 decades ago.
Members of Energize Earth SVG has kick-started a cleanup campaign by cleaning a river that was abandoned for decades. The environmental organization saw it fit to use the holiday, which was also International Day of Action for Rivers.
The Energize Earth SVG decided that we will take action for this river in Ashburton. It is called the Glossy River.
Despite the inclement weather, persons from the community joined in the cleanup.
All galvanized, chubby bottle, old cloth. Sometimes could have drink water from this river here, but not again. It's really, really dirty. And it needs to be cleaned up better than how they have it.
I've covered 20 years or so, 25 years maybe. For like 25 years in Louis. Just so like it stagnant. So we would like to see clean up again to be back in use.
You see, right up here. Across the people used to wash. I used to go on top of here, there are high place far. Used to go every Sunday and bathe up there. But everything black up now.
And when we're small, we come and jump up the deep hole. You see this bush we cut here? We jump up the big deep hole, and everybody, woman and man and girl, bathe in that same water. And this has been a nice river for a long, long time.
4 bags of garbage were removed, which included plastic bottles and clothes.
Well, it was a good step to move to get this river clean. To make a start, it must be an end. Because I'm glad to get the river cleaned up. Because I see people come around here with garbage. So, boy, don't throw the garbage in the river. But people don't care. When you put a signboard, you need to put a signboard. No littering, because the people, if they see a signboard, they will take a step.
The International Day of Action for Rivers is celebrated every year on March 14 to raise awareness about the value and importance of rivers. ESVG has collaborated with the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority to spread awareness about conserving rivers, river management, pollution and equitable access to clean and flowing water. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.